this video, I want to talk about how to define the domain and range from the graph of a piecewise function. Okay, so a piecewise function is something that people tend to be a little bit nervous about or scared of, and I want to tell you that it's not as scary as it seems. A piecewise function is just a function which is defined in more than one piece. So like you can see in this graph here, we have a function over here that's one piece of it, but this is another piece of the function, and together they make the function all together. So it makes functions look a little weird and unusual, and I know that that might make you feel a little uncomfortable, but we can really work with them in much the same way that we work with other functions. So let's think about how we can look at this graph and figure out the domain and the range. So let's remember that the domain is all possible, it's all possible inputs. Okay, so if we look here, I want to kind of look and see where is my graph located. So I'm going to kind of move my line horizontally and see where is my graph. So I don't have anything over here, right? There's nothing over here. It starts right here. So this is the lowest point, the lowest x value on the graph. It's -4. So let's go ahead and write that. Well, I'll write it in a minute. So we have -4 all the way to 0, right? This is 0 on the x, but we're not including 0. There's an open circle, which indicates we're not including that point. So from -4 to 0, but not including 0. And then this starts at 3. So from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So from 3 on the x-axis to 8, we also have values. So let's go ahead and write that in our domain. So we go from -4 to 0, and then we also go from 3 to 8. And let's think about which of these points are included and which aren't. So -4 is a solid point, so that's included, so we use a bracket. 0 is an open circle, so that's not included, so we use parentheses. And then 3 is included, that's a solid point, and so is 8. So we'll use brackets here and brackets here. So this is the domain. Remember, we use this union to say we're going to do this interval and this interval together. So that is our domain. Okay, so now I want to take a look at range. So to look at range, I'm going to kind of take a vertical scanner. I'm going to move this line vertically and see where do I have values. So I have nothing down here, right? There's nothing below here. And then once I get up to -4, I start having values, but I'm not including -4 because that's an open circle. So then I have values, I have values, I have values, I have values. Now over here, I stop having values on this left-hand portion, but I keep having values on the right-hand portion. So I'm still having range outputs coming all the way up through 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I keep having range values all the way from -4 up to 6. So when I go ahead and write my range, so range is all possible outputs, which is y values, and domain is all possible inputs, which is x values. Okay, so all possible outputs, which is y values, goes from -4 all the way up through 6. And now again, even though it stops over here at 0, we still have values over here. So as long as there's a range somewhere, there keeps being range values all the way from -4 all the way up to 6. Now let's look at which of those points are included. So -4 has an open circle, so that's not included, and we use parentheses. And then 6 has a closed circle, so we're going to use brackets. And that is how we find the domain and range from the graph of a piecewise function.